I want to consume. I don't want to make. So people come up with great ideas and they go, all right, what's the price point? It's this if we make it here in America. Price is going to be this. And they're like, you're not going to make any profit and we're not going to sell anything. We'll go across the way and we'll manufacture it somewhere else. And then everybody goes and does that. And they're like, now we could sell it here for this. And boom. Oh, okay, that sounds great. We could sell a ton of it. That's life. If we want to change that, I got no problems with it. I try to buy American and European as much as I possibly can. But the reality is, even when you're buying something you think is American, it may not be American. We like to consume.
Especially stuff with a lot of parts. You're not going to never know where the beginning stages of a piece of equipment came
No
from.
doubt. You ever tried to put together an IKEA furniture? My God. Even though it's made in Sweden or wherever the hell it's made, because I know they left Sweden as soon as they possibly could. But the reality of the fact that we consume so much makes it tough. Because we don't want to spend more money on things. We don't. We always say we do, but we don't. And we'll spend more money on certain things, but not everything. Even things made in America. The parts are made somewhere else. It may be put together here, but the reality is it may not be made here. And that was always going to be a frustration for a lot of people out there. The China thing, again, I agree, somewhat with Chris about the fentanyl, but we have a consumption problem. We've always had a consumption problem. And I would love to see everybody get clean, but the reality is that's a tough thing. That is. And we're going to talk a little bit later because they've got that new drug that is supposed to be non-addictive for pain. And, it sounds good, but the stuff that opioids have done and the damage in this country is tremendous. But when it comes to these battles that go on, everything is a negotiation. All of it is. But nothing is changed. 1 month pause for Mexico. We'll see how they do. At the same time, this is the same thing. Trump has done this on numerous occasions when he was president. Anytime he had the opportunity to put tariffs on, he would. And he'll continue to do so as a negotiation.
What President Sheinbaum agreed to was sending 10,000 additional National Guard troops to the northern border in an attempt to stop the very substantial flow of Mexican fentanyl north into the United States and also to help control migrant flows from Mexico to the United States. If all of this sounds a bit familiar, it's because it's exactly what happened the last time President Trump threatened tariffs against Mexico back in 2019 when President López Obrador was in charge here in Mexico.
And that's what they're going to do. They'll put 10,000 people there. Texas, by the way, now has the National Guard the opportunity. So National Guard in Texas now has the opportunity to detain, to essentially do what Border Patrol has done. Before, they just kind of monitored, did a lot of the paperwork, a lot of the transportation. Now they're going to be able to actually go and apprehend where they haven't before. It's stopping that flow is immediate. But when it comes to those drugs, again, I go back to, yes, it is China's fault. It is Mexico's fault for allowing that. The cartels, man, what the hell were you thinking? But the money's too big. The money is too big. And so they battle. And they're not going to give it up. Not without a fight. But part of that is also on us, man. If there was no customer base, nobody cares, right? There's no customer base, but there's a customer base. And the consumption, not only with goods, but with drugs, is massive. Now, how long will it last?
What this ends up becoming is just kind of kicking the can down the road for 1 month. It's unclear what metrics President Trump wants to see over the next month in order for him to fully remove this threat of tariffs. Clearly, Mexico is concerned about the threat of tariffs. It wants to play ball here, and therefore it is sending these troops. So how all of this ends in 1 month still remains an open question, but I think both sides can breathe a sigh of relief, especially the business community that would be affected by all of this. We'll pick up this conversation once again in about a month.
And that's politics in Trump's world. Trump has come and he hit the ground running. And people shouldn't be surprised that he hit the ground running. I'm always shocked that some people are. I even heard some people who support him go, "Oh, it feels like it's going a little fast for me." It needs to. And I remind everybody this, on the left side of the aisle, you've allowed so much of this to happen. You allowed there to be not just a border that was open, a welcoming border. You invited the opportunity for people to come here. And in doing so, they took massive advantage of everything. And because of that, the pushback came and it was real. The pushback came in. It was bigger than you thought. The pushback came not only on November 5th for Trump, but for several others. And now this is what we've got. I would love to see us do away with fentanyl and never had to consume it. But the facts are that isn't going to change. And as long as there's a market here, people are going to do everything they can to get it here. And that's the scary thing. That's why this new drug that is supposedly non-addictive will be a massive helper. Because I have known people. My buddy's wife, his ex-wife, she went from great little life, everything's awesome, they've got kids, having an injury, I think it was a carpal tunnel or something ridiculous like that, having surgery, getting hooked. Within 6 months, she had disappeared. Within a year, they were divorced, and she's just kind of all over the place. And that's how bad it was and how fast it was because of opioids. And fentanyl's what she does because that's what they can get their hands on. Now, for Canada, we'll see. Like I said earlier, the crude is different. We don't produce the crude that we need for the refineries. It has nothing to do with production. I think everybody thinks, well, we don't produce it. We don't produce the kind of oil that we use. We produce very little of it. We use this heavier crude oil, and the heavier crude oil works well with what we have in the refineries. And the refineries, for those of you in IQB Score, those things, people aren't making them anymore because there's just no money in it. It costs too much. Nobody wants it around. The EPA, all of that stuff. Secondly, to even switch over would probably be 10 years. Maybe a little less, maybe a little bit more. And the cost of hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, not counting the lost revenue. And we could get it from elsewhere, but, Trump said last night, and this is the thing, that's why it was so, he came out and said the thing he needed to say last night, which is there could be some pain. Because the one thing is, if you're honest with people and you tell them, and that's why Javier Milei has done so well in Argentina, is because he's been honest with everybody about what's going on. He didn't blow smoke and tell everybody it's going to be rainbows and sunshine and unicorns. Just put me in there. He's like, look, it's going to suck. At first, it's going to be hard. We're all going to have to tighten our belts. I'm not going to lie to you. We're going to make some cuts, but eventually things are going to turn. And they did. They've started to turn. They got inflation under wraps. Very low, especially for them when they had rampant inflation. And he is turning them around. Poverty's jumped up a little bit, but people are fine because he's kept them in the loop about what's going on. And when you do that, you find out, oh, okay, I get it. And Trump came out and said, you know what? Long-term gain, short-term pain. As long as I know what we're getting into. Because people don't like to be surprised, right? Like it's great if it's a party, but most times people aren't big fans, especially when it comes to the medical bills we've talked about forever and a day, where you open it up, you're like, it could be $5, could be $5 million. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, this is what it is. Same thing. He came out and he said that. That's a huge win for America. The transparency of this is going to be tough. Maybe, not always, but maybe. And let's see if this works. And I think we'll be fine. Again, I was never worried about Mexico. And the whole thought of we're not going to have avocados. First of all, I hate guacamole. Can I just say that?
You are an evil man.
Okay, let me tell you. Being poor, as I grew up pretty kind of poor white trash, we had an avocado tree, and we had a lot of avocados when I was a kid. I hate avocados. We also had pomegranates. Again, another stupid thing. Right? That's it. My mom's like, we're having liver, pomegranates, government cheese. You're like, this is awful. Can't we just
eat an avocado? Can I have a snack? Eat an avocado.
That's basically it. My mom's like, it's got all this great stuff in it. Like Dr. Spock, who was the big doctor back in the day. That's what he said. I'm like, this is disgusting. So I hate avocados. And then there's also a sense where I can't eat green things. But Ken gets it, right, Ken? It's weird. Some things you're looking like, I can't eat oatmeal. Looks gross.
I went for a long time as a kid pouring ketchup on my peas because my parents would make me eat them.
Oh.
But I figured out I could put ketchup on them and they went down a lot easier. See? I don't put ketchup on them anymore.
Because you're kind of grown up.
Yeah.
I love peas. It's weird.
I do now, too.
You can put it on there if you want to. You're an adult.
Nah, it's actually... actually takes away from their natural flavor.
I'll eat a lima bean before I will eat a avocado. That's how much I hate avocados.
I dig avocados.
Do you?
I do. I like them a lot.
Well, now we're going to have them again.
Guacamole is awesome.
Yeah, we can have them.
It's just, again, the freaking out, like the whole, like I saw Chuck Schumer thing. I'm like, does that even deserve a response? Like, oh, look at this.
What did he say?
He holds up like an avocado. He's like, football's next week, Super Bowl. You're not going to have one of these. Well, even if it went into effect, it would be 2 to 3 weeks before we felt it. So you missed out on that one. And he held up a beer like a Corona or something. And you're just like, like, so.
Yeah.
The fact that he can come out and just say those kind of
with
BS
a straight
lies,
face, by the way, with a straight face.
Because you're right, it's going to take at least a couple of weeks for the lack of supply to catch up with the demand.
Yeah.
And so it's not like it's going to happen overnight.
No, but people think that. I mean, oil could move quick, but there's other places to get oil. It's not like there's not a gluttony of oil out there. It's just easier, more cost effective to get it from them, the Canadians, eh? But that being said, I don't think we're going to have to worry about any of this. It's going to be solved in some way, shape, or form. And I like the fact that Trump, if I'm Trump, I do every 30, 90, I do like a 30, 60, 90 day kind of thing where, we'll revisit this in 3 months. Because why? Because I want to make sure you're doing your job. Because the more that you do your job, the less I have to worry about whether or not you're going to do it. Because the minute I take my eye off the prize, you're going to take your 10,000 soldiers, make it 4,000, move everybody else back up, and we're going to have this nightmare. That simple.
And those 4,000 that are left are going to be told, just hang out in the barracks.
Just hang out in the barracks. Just hang out there.